session for meeting number 612. And what is the purpose of evaluation or giving feedback over here? Can you see this maze? I'll just give you 30 seconds, try to find a solution. Okay, tick, tick 9, tick, tick 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, the purpose of feedback or evaluation is get to know about better way of doing a task and focus on the right objective. Now, I asked you to solve the puzzle, and I'm sure some of you must have tracked away from the Santa to the reindeer. But what was the question? What was the objective? Was it to collect the yellow gifts first? Was it to collect the blue ones? Or was it just to reach to the end one? Until and unless we have our objectives clear and we get enough and adequate feedback on things, sometimes it becomes difficult to follow what exactly we want to do. And the purpose of this entire evaluation section is to give that kind of guidance to people who have stepped up to the podium to learn about public speaking and improve their skills. So without much ado, I'll tell you what I'm going to do as a general evaluator for today's meeting. I'm going to do 3 things. One, I'm going to call on the evaluators, the speech evaluators who read the objectives, to share the feedback on the prepared speakers. While you guys were enjoying wonderful snacks, which still we have not been told what were the snacks, the evaluators were sitting and preparing for the evaluation. I'm sure they didn't have anything. So we are going to have the evaluators sharing their feedback about the speeches we heard today, the prepared speeches. Then I will call the 4-member Taggle team to present their report. And finally, I give a report on the entire meeting. So without much ado, let me call upon the first evaluator for the day, which is let me call on Toastmaster Lavanya to share the timing guidelines. Toastmaster Lavanya, can you just stand up and repeat the timing for the evaluators?
The speech evaluation is 2 minutes. Minimum time allotted. Midpoint is 2 minutes 30 seconds, and at the end it's 3 minutes, and base speed is 30 seconds will be provided.
Great, thank you, Toastmaster Lavanya, taking over control of the stage. So our first evaluator is Toastmaster Kartiki, who is going to evaluate Toastmaster Avinash. For people who are new to the club and people who have seen Avinash speak and know about Toastmaster Kartiki, actually we need a photograph of both of them. Please, VPPR, we are going to practically see a David versus Goliath evaluation session right now. So without much ado, over to Toastmaster Kartiki.
Good evening, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and my target speaker, DM. Well, firstly, congratulations on getting on the icebreaker of the 8th card or the 9th card. I'm not 8th card. So there were a lot of good things in his speech. Firstly, I found it a little bit personal because when he mentioned about how he looked in a mirror and he questioned himself, do I look better or do I need, am I the Avinash? And that's when I realized that even in the current, like a few days back, I also got this question, like I also questioned myself, am I the Kartikeya or do I need to improve more? And yes, I really felt this speech was somewhat related to me and it helped me in much better manner. Now talking about the speech, your speech had a really a good clarity. You had a good amount of hold over the speech. Your words were clear and clearly audible to the audience. And the next was there was vocal variety in the speech. Eye contact. As soon as you came up on the stage, you got the attention of the audience by asking them the question. So eventually there was an audience interaction question in the speech. It was well-crafted speech with humor in it. There was comfort level as we have seen that he moved from one point to another, and we could see that. There were beautiful gestures in the speech when you highlighted the quote, where you literally went from arranging your voice, coming down, and making it look like it is the important thing in your life and highlighting it to the audience. That was the thing. And my recommendations would be if you would pause a little when you are saying something and make audience guess what is the speaker trying to say, maybe that would catch a little more attention of the audience, because sometimes what happens is you go in a flow and it is really hard to catch hold your flow. And there was I like the part where you mentioned about the PPT of your life, where you transition from your family, then the Toastmasters, and the professional life, and the Toastmasters, which I am very much sure that that must have encouraged the guests who are present here. And you also had key message in your speech, and I thank you, and I wish you all the best for your upcoming speeches.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kartiki, for that awesome feedback. I am sure you must be very happy with the work you have done, because I am extremely happy. Let me call upon the next evaluator without much ado. The next evaluator is Toastmaster Taufik. Toastmaster Taufik will be evaluating Toastmaster Tushar. Toastmaster Taufik, over to you.
The accidental opportunity. Toastmaster Tushar started his speech by narrating a conversation between him and his dad. Then he took us to a challenge that he faced all of a sudden. And it was not a short one, but to host an event. A professional event where there would be investors coming in and people from different financial stature would be present. He had to make sure that the presence was, the impression was created always. So he the good thing he did was he had the option of falling back, but he tried to convert that challenge into an opportunity. And that positive spirit is one I like in his speech. He then showcased a very good demonstration of storytelling. As he began with the speech and with the flow, it kept the audience's grip to the story. He even demonstrated a very good variation in his the pace of his speech. And lastly, he shared 3 tips with the audience for takeaway. Now, 2 suggestions from my side. One is that he could have a better control over the pitch of his voice. He has over the time improved over it, but I feel there is a bit of more scope towards that, and I'm sure Toastmaster Tushar, with the pace at which he is improvising, he would certainly be able to achieve it. And second, he would have connected that speech to the purpose. Now here I found that he very well shared the 3 tips, but he connecting it to a purpose would have encircled, made it a complete circle, and would have served in a better way regarding the agenda of your speech. So these are the 2 recommendations. So to conclude, overall good storytelling capability, good variation in speech, and good sharing of tips. Just the 2 things that you need to just have a better control over the pitch of your voice, and second is having connecting the speech with a purpose. This would help turn your speech from an accidental to a guaranteed one.
Nikhil, you're on mute. I had muted you because we had some sound feedback. Yes, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ashwin. Thank you for helping out. Thank you, Toastmaster Taufik. That was a really interesting. I really love the way you ended it, about from being accidental to purposeful. That was a nice take on the topic also. Great. I have more feedback for you, but I'll wait for that. Let us move on next to the next evaluator, which is Toastmaster Madhura, who will be evaluating Toastmaster. Sorry, am I audible?
Yes, Harshil.
Okay, Harshil. Yeah, I know. Toastmaster Madhura, who is evaluating Toastmaster Harshil. Over to you, Toastmaster Madhura.
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster Nikhil. Am I audible and visible to everybody in the audience?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you so much. So how many of you here have heard the quote, your network is your net worth? Toastmaster, okay, I can see a show of hand. So I think this is a quote most of us can resonate with, and definitely networking is a very important aspect in our life and in our professional lives. And this speech today has shared with us so many great learnings with respect to networking and its importance, the way Toastmaster Harshal presented it. I mean, firstly, he shared a really great quote regarding that. Is anybody else speaking? Okay, sorry. Yeah. He firstly shared a really great quote regarding the importance of networking. And from that, he again went on to explain how to network. And he introduced us by sharing these few by mentioning that he'll be sharing a few tips about networking with us. And in the whole journey, he made sure to keep the audience engaged with some really great questions. And I'm sure we all felt we were also a part of this speech, and we were completely engaged and enamored the way he was speaking. What I really liked about this speech was his really great energetic pitch with which he just filled the room and captured the audience's attention. And apart from that, he really displayed some good body language which enhanced the storytelling. He also mentioned to us the personal strategies that he implied to improve his networking, maybe starting from the anecdotes where he used an icebreaker, to going on to the next one where we even shared another strategy by how to interrupt and gain the attention of the speaker, and how you can involve yourselves in the conversation. And I think many of us have been in such positions where we did wanted to be a part of it, and thanks to the tips that were shared by Toastmaster Harshil, I think now we know what we can do about it. And apart from the anecdotes, I think by sharing the events of different scenarios of networking with respect to his gym, or like a casual event, to a professional event like the HR incident, I think he really helped us how to use this tactics in various scenarios. And adding on to the personal strategies and the stories, I think he has finally ticked off all the points that were required for the objective of this speech. Now coming and I think what I love the most about the speech was how all of this was bundled in humor, and we were so engaged that at some point we really felt that this shouldn't stop. And from that, I feel that this is where we come to a point where we can also add on some improvements to this perfect speech, which could be, I would suggest that I felt that somewhere the transitions of the speech were abrupt, and especially the end. Only two anecdotes were shared, where if it were three, I guess it would have had a more rounded end. So I think that is somewhere I felt there was some improvement area. Apart from that, I felt the HR incident could have been exemplified with some better example, as I don't think there were details being used in this particular example. And apart from that, I think with respect to improvement, he can improve upon his voice modulation and his body language, where he could have actually shown stepping into the gym or the action he was doing. And with that, I give all the best to the speakers for his next speech. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Madhura. You finally did, which I was telling you all the time to do. You hit and exceeded the red card. Great. That is how we do it. We keep on doing it till we hit the red mark. And I agree with some of the points which you made. Like, I wanted to hear more. The speaker was excellent, and he was having very nice points and takeaway. I wish we could have heard the entire speech rather than left hanging like a soap opera ending. Let's see it in the next episode kind of a thing. But before we move on to the speaker specific feedback, let me call on the Taggle team to come and give the feedback they have. So first, let me call on the timer for the day. Toastmaster Lavanya, can you come and give the timers for the evaluators?
General evaluator Nikhil.
Yes.
So before the role players, we have evaluate the evaluator evaluation.
Oh, sorry. I missed that. Yeah. So Toastmaster, let me hand over the stage to Toastmaster Alok for evaluating the evaluation of Toastmaster Kartiki. Over to you, boss.
Thank you, General Evaluator. The objective of the speech was twofold. Develop skills. Is it audible?
Yes.
Okay. Develop skills for delivering feedback and deliver constructive feedback. And let's see how the speaker has done it. First and foremost, as an evaluator, one has to promote the self-esteem of a speaker so that the speaker feels encouraged to come again, and it creates a right atmosphere where the speaker will receive the feedback. I think the speaker was not lacking in that. She encouraged the speaker in many ways. Another one, which I would like to say, that as an evaluator, what really one has to do is to see, hear, and feel and report what really the speaker has done. In looking at that angle, the speaker was able to report on what she has felt about the speaker. She was humorous throughout the meeting, throughout the speech. She also pointed about the questions which Toastmaster Avinash used. A rhetorical question which the speaker had thrown onto the audience. She was confident throughout the speech. And let's see where she could have improved. I saw that the speaker said that he did that, he thought he did that, he felt that. I thought that if the evaluator could have spoken about the speaker in terms of, I thought that he could have done this, I thought that he could have done that, rather than personalizing, making it impersonal. Second, at the end of the speech, if she could have brought more clarity to what were the highlights of the speech, that could have been better. I also thought, though I do not have the Times reports, I thought that she might not have used the whole 2 to 3 minutes, and I will encourage the evaluator to come at least use all the timing which she has under the belt. Summarizing, it was a first evaluation, and I think with few more evaluations under the belt, I think she will become an ace evaluator. Over to general evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alok, for that wonderful evaluation. I am sure Kartikeya has picked up a lot of points which will help her move on further. Let me call upon Toastmaster Lavanya to give the timer report, and Toastmaster Banu, I hope the voting links are also ready. Once the timer reports are announced, you can publish them.
Thank you, general evaluator. I'm here to present the timer's report for evaluation. Toastmaster Kartikeya took 2 minutes 39 seconds. Toastmaster Taufik took 2 minutes 40 seconds. Toastmaster Madhura took 3 minutes 54 seconds. Toastmaster Alok took 2 minutes 43 seconds. Except Toastmaster Madhura, all are eligible for best evaluation.
Thank you, Toastmaster Lavanya. May I call upon the next tag team player, Toastmaster Sampriti, to present the counter report.
Thank you, General Evaluator. So, Toastmaster Nikhil took me at 4 sound, 5 so words, and yeah. Toastmaster TMOD Ashwin took 1 sound, 5 sound, 15 so word, 1 like, 2 word. Toastmaster Lavanya said 1 sound, 2 sound, 3 sound, 4 so. Toastmaster Rishabh did not say any picking error. DTM Avinash said 4 so words. Toastmaster Kartikeya said 15 sounds. Toastmaster Tushar said 4 sounds. 2 sound, 5 sound, 5 so word. Toastmaster topic said 17 sound, 6 so word, 6 and 1 word. Guest Vatsal said 15 sound, 1 so, 1 repeat phrase, 1 1 so. Toastmaster Harshil said 2 sound, 6 so, 1 light, 1 but, 1 Toastmaster Madhura said 15 sound, 16 sound, 1 so. Toastmaster Kalyani said 4 sound, 3 sound, 4 so. Guest Sagar said 4 sound and 6 so, 2 but and 1 Toastmaster Prabha Devi did 2 repeats, 3 sound. Guest Swati 1 sound, 14 sound, 1 so, 1 but. Guest Arya said 3 sound, 13 sound, and 1 long pause. Toastmaster Shubhangi said 8 sound, 5 so, 1 but, 2 1 so. Toastmaster Guest Pratibha said 4 sound. Toastmaster Nishant said 1 well, 3 so, and 1 3 Guest Sarthak said 30 sound, 7 so. Toastmaster Gajanan said 2 sound. Toastmaster Digvijay said 16 sound, and so 2 times so, and 2 times like, and 1 time and so, and 3 times repeat. Guest Amrit said 1 sound, 1 sound, 3 sound, and 1 long pause. Toastmaster Bhanu only said 2 sound. Toastmaster Alok said 8 sound.
You are on mute.
Can you
Yeah.
hear me? Sorry, I had
Yes.
a
Yes,
laptop
yes.
failure. My laptop just acted up, so I had to move to emergency devices. I logged in into 2 devices already, so I was able to transition. I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes.
Yeah. So great evaluation, great summary, Toastmaster Samriddhi. I think the way you have taken time and efforts just to make sure that we capture it, you have captured like nuances and small things. I think it's a great work done by you. And I have some specific feedback for you, but let's move on to the next role player. Can I invite Toastmaster Rishabh to give the grammarian report?
Thank you, General Evaluator. I'm here to present the grammarian report. So the word of the day was used thrice by Toastmaster Ashwin, once by Toastmaster Prabhadevi, and some of the effective usage of vocabulary. DTM Avinash used rejuvenated. Toastmaster Nishant used mesmerized. Toastmaster Prabhadevi used gracious, and Toastmaster topic used prominent and attire. Now, one of the sentence which could have been used correctly. One of the speakers said, "When I see back," which could have been used, "When I look back." Okay, and that's it from my end. Thank you, and over to you, Chandra.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rishabh. Thanks a lot for sharing your valuable feedback. I just want to see if you can see my screen. I have my presentation ready. I'm just sharing my screen from another device. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to call Toastmaster Gajan after a while, but we finished 4 evaluations and Toastmaster Alok was missing. I need to take care because I missed him out completely. And Toastmaster Gajanan is there, and I want to summarize the entire meeting. So as the meeting was going on, I was also making notes about the meetings and what are the things which I wanted to share. And timer, please make sure that I stop in 10 minutes so that we can summarize the session immediately. Okay. So without much ado, let me start with some role player and other feedback. So Toastmaster Kiran, wonderful opening. I really loved the fact that you stood up, you made everybody sit with a clap, and you opened with a smile. And the mission and the disclaimer you have given very, very clearly. And I feel that was a highlight of your role. And I'm sure the guests must have also enjoyed the snacks, because everybody looks very happy and contented, whoever is coming on the stage right now to speak. So great job over there. I was thinking about what more we can do and how can we improve on this. I was thinking how we can build the energy of the room. Like some of the things which Toastmaster Ashwin did, if we can do at the beginning in the first 5 minutes, like let's clap, let's do something, or some activity where you involve the entire audience. You can make them sit, stand up, something, but build the energy of the room. If you go to Thane Toastmasters or MTM, you will find that the first 5 minutes, they just make sure the energy levels are up. And this is something which I want to see next time. From my point of view, I feel that I need to work a little bit more on the build-up messages. Let me work on that one. And I think I did a very smart thing. I let Ashwin take over the handling of the guest one, which is very important because there is a physical person over there. And every time we have an online presiding officer or a role player, let's have a buddy assigned to them in the meeting who can help them interact with the guests and the rest of the meeting, so that our hybrid meetings would run very well. For speakers, I have some feedback and I'm going to be very fast to summarize this. Toastmaster Avinash, amazing speech, great one. You incorporated on the fly inputs which came from Toastmaster Ashwin's speech on 12 years for bones and 26 months. I think that is an amazing thing which only you can do. I love the PPT format. It was great built up and the humor was amazing in this. I was a little bit worried why you didn't introduce your parents. You introduced your wife by name, your son by name, but your parents, you did not take the name. Okay, and you had a beautiful start like, oh, I see an uncle in the mirror. How about the end? Can you just have a start, middle, and end? You can build in something. And I was a bit confused between the phases you are using on overestimate in a year and underestimate in 5 years. Probably you want to build up on that. And lastly, I was like fascinated, but I wanted to see more of a transition from a dreadful Mangal Singh to a pride, to a person who is taking pride in a DTM name. And that transition needs a little bit of work. This is a feedback from my side. Toastmaster Tushar, you're amazing at storytelling and your stories stick. People will remember that. Voice modulation, body language, and energy you bring to the room. And the rant you said about remember this, remember that, that was, I think, for me, the highlight of your speech. And there were good takeaways and advices for the speech. But I feel sometimes you get lost in the delivery. You lose out the speech, and that's why the speech gets a little bit extended. And you gave 3 messages to the audience. My suggestion is just give 1 key message. It's very difficult for people to keep track at the end summary 3 messages. If you focus on one, your speech structure will improve and you may end on time very clearly. Toastmaster Harshil, I really loved the audience interaction in your speech. The body language was excellent. The way you were gesticulating, as Madhura also said, and the takeaways were good. The surprise compliment implementation. But I feel like you're just means moving around the floor without any rhyme or rhythm. If you can break the floor into like, this was a gym area, this was an office area, and this was another area wherein we were focusing, probably you will, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make sure my eyes are on this thing. Okay. Probably it will help your speech if you are having a very, very defined floor movement, why you want to do. And please polish your speech. Some elements of your speech, you are a bit dismissive. Oh, these are these people. It comes across disrespectful and you don't want to create those impressions. And lastly, I wish you hadn't said that I don't have time or I'm not prepared to give the last part. It's a bit of it leaves the audience saying that, okay, you didn't find it important to do it on time or something. I hope we can talk more about this because your ending was like, oh, it's like to be continued kind of a thing. It leaves a very bad feeling in front of audience. So these are my inputs as a GE. I hope you take it. I hope we can talk a little bit more if you want to speak more on this. On the evaluators front, I was writing this as the session was still going. Toastmaster Kartiki, very good job at explaining the objective. You had a very positive start. And I felt that you followed the CRC method. You have compliments, recommendation, you ended over there. You also gave examples on what is to be done, vocal variety. But when you're giving examples, if you can tell, you give feedback that you should engage the audience and get the attention of people. How? How do we do that? That is really important. You need to tell them how to do this. Okay, so focus a little bit on that. Toastmaster Tawfiq, I felt you spent a little bit time on summarizing the speech. Your feedback was very great and you gave a summary of your evaluation. I think that was a highlight of the speech. Very few people remember to do that. So please keep up that good work. But again, I feel the how was missing. As evaluators, we need to be very, very clear on how do they improve? If you're giving a feedback that, oh, you need to do this, or you need to, your feedback was on how to manage the pitch of the voice. So make that voice like, oh, make a sound of a person. Like if there was a old man who was telling him about example, do this, do this, do this. When you bring in that point in your evaluation, it helps the speaker develop it better. And the second point you had made, the notes are in the laptop right now, but I also heard the last point which you have made. I have some other feedback on this. I will connect with you separately on this. Toastmaster Madhura, while I appreciated that you hit the red card, this was our challenge thing which we had right at the beginning. But I was a little bit worried because you kind of gave a running commentary of the entire speech. Toastmaster Harshal did this, did that, did this. Okay, you hit the green card and you're still summarizing the speech. So think about how do you want to summarize your evaluation rather than summarizing the speech. And I really like the feedback which you gave on the ending part or things which are worked out. But also look at the, means I thought you will capture, because you're one of the speakers who are very, very clear when you speak about the floor movements. And I've seen you do that. So I was hoping that feedback would come from you on how to manage the floor place, because Harshal was like going all around the place like this and all this. And I thought somebody needs to tell him, calm down, wait at a place. Toastmaster Alok, your feedback. I'm sorry, I missed your name in the list of evaluators. And as usual, very calmly, precisely, you first defined what is the role of an evaluator. Then you went into details on what is the purpose of evaluation. Even for a newcomer, it is very important. And you gave feedback about Karthiki shouldn't be using he said, she said, and talk more in terms of the speaker. But I noticed, and maybe when you look at the recording of the meeting, you'll notice that you also slipped between the evaluator and she said. So we have to be very, very balanced. I feel that whatever we are saying, we are applying it on our speech also, because you also slipped into the same thing. And it could have been a beautiful example of calling out that, see, when I say she said during these 3 sentences, it could be better if I say the evaluator this, evaluator do that. Am I going a bit fast?
Last 2 minutes remaining.
Great. Role players, Ashwin, amazing presentation, amazing preparation. I really loved the way you interacted with the audience, asking questions and giving out actions to the way pinching and everything. That was really great. You could have added a bit of humor more by saying, if you pinched yourself, pinch the person next to them. Okay. And I would personally challenge you to avoid using notes, but I really loved the way you engaged the team and interacted with the entire thing. I think you held the session very great today. Toastmaster Kalyani, amazing. You got so many speakers to speak today. I have a lot of good points over here. I'll just challenge you on 2 things. One, can you connect the theme of the meeting, which was about know your body, to the topics you're selecting? It will bring in more integrity in the entire session. And think of an innovative way you can call out the speakers. Today you are inviting, you're calling in. And one last suggestion is always get an experienced speaker to speak first, so that the guests and other people will know what is to be expected out of it. I finished role player. I finished. Okay, I have a lot of feedback I wrote for everyone, including TTMs. I'm going to share this later in interest of time. But Lavanya, great job. You did not use any notes. That was an amazing thing. And you noted the timings precisely and you were talking out. My only request is slow down a little bit and take control of the stage. Sometimes you directly come on the stage and you start speaking even before the other person has left, like when Ashwin was introducing you or calling you on the stage at those point of time. So take a minute, take a pause and introduce yourself properly. And when you're showing the cards or something, I saw that you had cards in your hands and hands were moving. So you may want to, keep the prop down when you're using your hands so much, or at least hold the props in one hand and gesticulate with the other hand. Toastmaster Samriddhi, amazing. Without use of notes, I think you were using notes and you were very clear. I would recommend you learn the script. It's not very difficult. If you practice enough, you can do this without using the script and your hands will be free. Your eye contact will be free so that you can face the people in a proper meeting rather than looking at the notes and looking up at people. Grammarian and Rishabh, amazing work today. I really loved the fact that there were no speaking errors. Your objectives, everything was clear. The word was also simple. I just wish we could have a phase of a day also, which some clubs do. And also the grammar tip, I think you explained it in only two sentences, anyways and any. I think if you could give some examples of wrong usage of this and spend a little bit more time, it will be beneficial for the people who are hearing the grammar tips. Listener Gajanan, I want you to come on next so that you can take over the proceedings of the meeting and I'll stop sharing over here, but over to you, Toastmaster Gajanan, for the listening session.
Okay, so we were bombarded with a lot of facts in the meeting today. What was the first fact shared by Toastmasters? Was it iron one?
First,
If you pull out, first one is iron, right?
yeah, that was the intro, but yes, right.
If
Names.
you pull out the iron from a human body, what centimeter of 2.5?
2.5.
Centimeter.
How many bones do we have in our body? I mean, newborn, how many? 300 newborn. 206. Nice. After how many years we get a new skeleton? 12. Okay. So DTM Avinash got a surprise compliment by Toastmaster Harshil. What was it?
He looks like Wayne Johnson in a red t-shirt.
Yes. What was DTM Avinash? I mean, what is DTM Avinash's nickname?
Mangal.
What does TM Kalyani like to? I mean, what is TM Kalyani's mantra to stay healthy? To sleep well. Okay, during topics, paper topic, he mentioned his school was away from a. So in 1 year, how many times a heart beats? 1 year. 275 crores. Okay, 1 year. That was in the life. 2 crore 94 lakhs. 3 crores 94 lakhs. 3 crores. 20,000. Right? Okay, what were the lessons shared by Toastmaster Tushar? Read book of rights. That was Harshil's. Read books. Read books.
Do not forget names.
Memorize names. Pronounce clearly. Grab every opportunity. If you don't know, if you do not have any knowledge about the subject, do not try to answer right. Take some, yeah, right? And there was a beautiful quote shared by Toastmaster Tushar. Albert Einstein's quote. What was it?
It was beautiful.
So, in the middle of every difficulty, life. What were the tips shared by Toastmaster Harshil to network with people? Surprise compliment. Conversation. Yeah. If we close our nostrils, an onion tastes like an apple. That was an interesting one. And last one is, what does Toastmaster Lavanya like to do while listening to music? Dance. Dance like Hrithik Roshan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gajanan. That was really great. I just had a couple of feedback for you. One is a very good thing that you started with a beautiful smile, and you were able to be calm and confident even when you went into long pauses. And that is something which a lot of people struggle with also. Okay. And a lot of ahs and ums happen when you have this long pauses. So I really applaud you for having that kind of calm and confident demeanor, but you need to master the script. Once you master the script, it's very simple. You may forget the flow or something, master the script. If you're not able to do what other role players are doing, they're having the notes in the hand and then also, a second challenge for you is just think about it. When you arrived for your introduction, Ashwin had already had 1 or 2 questions like the number of phones and everything. That can be a good teaser that this is what I'm going to do. A few minutes back, Ashwin told about, or the PO address included this. Do you remember what it was? It will be a good introduction and an engagement hook for you also. You may want to experiment on this. With that, I'll just come to the final overall evaluation of the meeting. And Ashwin, I'm going to need your help for the final address. I think we are running a little bit late, but what I really liked about the meeting was we had very well prepared role players today, with the scripts, without the scripts, very good role players. There was a great engagement. I think we need to have an applause for Ashwin for the beautiful way he has handled the team-out session. Let's have a round of applause for Ashwin, please. I'm not able to hear applause. Is it going on? Hello? Great. We had great online as well as offline participation. I think this is one of the best hybrid meetings I've seen so far. In the meetings we have conducted, we had so many guests and speakers who came for TT. I didn't get any feedback on the snacks, but looking at the content and smiles of people, I'm hoping that the snacks were great. I really loved the thumbs up reminder for the word of the day. That was a great initiative again, Ashwin. Really applaud you for that. Let me move on to what we can do better. We started 1 minute late, and 1 minute late is still late. We cannot miss that, guys. We were like just 1 minute late. Let's try to make sure that we don't miss out of this. The first online speaker, I think 2 speakers started at the same time, and that was a great recovery. But we need to see how do we manage this. Perhaps the TTM can call out the name, especially when an online speaker is speaking, so that we are very clear about whom to mute and whom to give the floor to speak. I also felt that there was a bit of confusion on who calls out the pathways, because I found in one case, like Toastmaster Karthik called out the pathway as well as the level for Toastmaster Avinash, and Ashwin called for one of the speakers, and one of the speakers we did not have that thing. So let's define it. Let's maybe put the responsibility on the evaluator, because they have the evaluation sheet, that they call out the pathway and the level, and the team mod can introduce the speaker and the speech title. So let's define this very clearly. Another thing which I noted was suddenly the recording stopped, and whatever be the reason, guys, we cannot have that. We are working on building a very strong online forum meeting. So having this kind of a thing will just disrupt it again. Lastly, I think one more thing is there are like too many technical glitches which are happening at my side. So I need to be very clear about anything. Like I'm on the second laptop right now, and here also something is going off. So I'm stopping the sharing of my screen right now. But I had an amazing day fraught with this thing. Okay, with that, I think I end the evaluation segment, and we can move on to the